Welcome to our latest edition of TNT.
Boom. Y'all booming in. I love you all for that.
Exploding.
Yeah,
Pastor
man.
Joe with the great Michael LaMelle, the
His
first.
headset on.
You said you got your headset on.
Yeah, man. I was in Studio Center today.
All right.
And had my phone still on silent, like in my headset. And as soon as I said, let me cut my headset off, then it rang. Sean called me, Sean Whitaker.
Of course.
And then so I tried him back later, didn't get him. But as soon as I wanted to address it, that's how things happen. As soon as it comes to your mind, you actually hear me, you can manifest things with your mind. So with the same power that we have, we can call things or we can rebuke them. Good God, that's really good. We can shun them, push them away, destroy them, kill them, pull the root up out of it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all.
Mom was just talking about that with me earlier today.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Your mom was?
My aunt.
Oh, your aunt.
Aunt Ruth.
Oh, really? She says, "Where's Prince?" Listen.
Prince is home with his mom.
Yeah, he on another assignment.
Mom and sisters.
Yeah, eat, sleep assignment.
Yep.
So Pastor didn't really know about this title, but he was prepared. He's more prepared than he even knows because he's an educator and a father of 6, and an I would say several hundred. How long have you been teaching now, Pastor?
Man, about 10 years now.
So I would say several hundred safely, confidently say that.
Oh, yeah,
because every room is a mean average of 22 to 23 kids over that span of 10 years.
Yep.
True?
Yeah.
So that's a lot of influence.
It is.
That you have. A lot of training influence.
It is. I love it. Training influence, not grooming influence. Training influence.
Did you see that?
I caught it. I mean, I don't know if everybody else caught it, but I caught it.
Training. You said something earlier. Can you repeat that for the room?
I said some people may say training is grooming.
You did say that. What say you? Since you are kind of an authority of children and young people, influencer of young people.
I think that there is much to say about them being different. That is not just tactics. I think that there's a difference.
There is a difference.
That's my opinion.
How would you say they're different? I mean, because I value your opinion. I'm sure some people in there.
So I think that training is an active attempt to prepare you for something.
That's good.
To accomplish something.
That's good, Reverend. So that's good.
If like for a sports example, just talking to the kids' mothers today about them training for the upcoming season. So we're going to hone in on certain exercises, try to do certain things that are going to get you in better shape, better condition, give you better skills, so that when there's a task that's in front of you, you're ready to attack. Grooming, though, on the other hand, I think is a desensitizing tactic that gets you comfortable for an impending attack, if you will.
Please, you all comment. Please, you comment. Please. I'm going to read some definitions too, because you.
So grooming. Yeah, grooming is like so I was doing some research the other day, and I found out that people say this, but it's actually not true, right? But they say if you want to, have a killer frog or whatever, you put the frog in cold water and you gradually turn the heat up. And by the time the frog knows it's cooking,
you want to boil it.
It's too comfortable, right? Yeah. Somebody said scientifically that's not actually true, but the adage is that if you throw a frog immediately in boiling water, he hasn't been groomed, and there's going to be a shock that's going to make him repel what you're trying to trying to accomplish.
Push it away.
Yeah, push it away. So grooming though is a gradual way of
Whew,
making you come into
you
acceptance.
really in my whole thing right
Oh, okay.
now.
I mean, you asked me. I just want, you know what I mean.
Any comments? Hey, Danielle Knox.
What's up, my coworker, church worker, former coworker?
So
She
the
left.
definition of she left you.
Yeah, she has other hills to climb.
Right. Admin, hopefully. All right. Here we go. Training. This is a definition of training.
All right.
The action of teaching a person or animal a particular skill or type of behavior. Training. Train up a child in what?
The way he should go.
Should.
Should go. Key.
You see that?
I see it.
Should.
Should.
And when he's old, then what?
Will not depart.
Because it's in there. It's planted. It's in there. Like prego, ragu, that sauce. Yeah, it's in there.
It's in there.
So training, the action of teaching a person, your teacher, of teaching a person or animal a particular skill or type of behavior. Teaching a person a type of behavior. All right. So let's look at grooming definition, shall we?
Yes.
Grooming. Prepare or train someone.
All right.
For a particular purpose or activity.
Okay.
They use the word train in the definition of groom, but not vice versa.
Right.
They have another definition that says groom, form a relationship with, parenthetically, a child or young person, with the intention of sexually assaulting them or inducing them to commit an illegal act such as selling drugs or joining a terrorist organization.
Perfect. Jordan says kind of sounds like training is to prepare a child for the child's future goals. Woo. Grooming is to prepare the child for the groomer's goals.
I'm going to throw something.
Cash app, send a cash app.
That right there?
Yeah.
Sis, aren't they synonymous? Oh, we're trying to discuss it now.
Let's see.
I mean, that's the opinion that we're
talking about.
Yeah, because there is a movement that I talked about over a year ago, even on TNT. And prior to starting TNT, I was already having these discussions with Pastor Joe about changing some language in our legal system and in our culture. One being the term pedophile and pedophilia. It will no longer be a term because there is a segment of our population that thinks that that's toxic. And so now it'll be called minor attraction. And not minor meaning little, a minor like a small bit. Minor in youth.
Yeah, somebody underage. That's a huge thing. And all of what we're kind of dealing with is a change, if you will, in language and meaning of words, right? We use words to ascribe meaning to things. And we're having these discussions about the meaning and the value of them.
Oh, man.
And I talked about it Sunday. And I know that I'm going to get in some trouble again.
Have your way.
I took us on a journey of the acronym GIDS, GIDS. And I took it from, if you Google it right now in 2023, what's going to come up? If you would have Googled it 8-9 years ago, what was going to come up?
Right.
And if you would have Googled it in 1980, which Google didn't exist, obviously, but if you would look at research journals, what it was, and it has slowly changed into something that is almost completely opposite of what it was 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. And it's slowly changing even in the circles of the people who have the task of giving these things the definition. So in the scientific journals, if you don't know, I'm sure you've probably heard, but homosexuality at one point in time, according to science, was considered a mental illness. This is documented. Nothing that anybody's making up, right? This is what they wrote, right? Forget the idea of gender dysphoria, which has totally changed now because there really isn't a term for gender dysphoria. That's been removed,
Taken out.
taken out. Um, and so when we first heard the term GIDS, it was called gay immune deficiency syndrome when we were younger, right? Our kids, when they hear it, what they're going to hear is gender identity development services, right? That's what's going to happen if you Google it, right? We talked about it Sunday a little bit. Should have came to church.
Right.
But there's a grooming, if you will, that's happening because I think that there's this very um, intentional plan to desensitize us to certain things, and we're starting to see them in cartoons, on television every day.
Y'all should probably please follow TNT, but if you feel so inclined, follow me because I I'm always talking about these things. I just made a post. You said that one about the Muppet Babies.
Yeah, you talked about it.
Man, just all right. Go ahead. It's it's a problem.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. And I don't know who made the post. Somebody made a post. I'm sure you shared it, but I'm starting to see it a few times. That there was some participants at a pride parade who were
Oh yeah, I did share it. Yeah.
verbally saying,
RZA shared it.
"Yeah, we're coming for your children."
Mm-hmm.
Like no holds barred. Like you can't stop us. I can't remember the chant specifically, but boom. And so all
They
of
literally
this,
we're saying
like
we're coming for
literally,
your
this is what
children.
this is what they're saying, right?
Yeah.
Which we talked about a couple years ago.
Yeah, all the way back and got in trouble. Got an email actually.
Yeah, right. Got tagged or whatever. Because there is grooming going on, and it's widespread. And it's not even really even subtle anymore.
No.
It's open and overt. That this is kind of what it is.
Those of you that need a scripture, let me put it in here. Proverbs 22:6. That's what that is. Train up. Because we reference it, but we don't really sit with it. You know what I mean? It's something clever to say. Proverbs 22:6.
Yes, sir. Verse 22:6.
Train up a child in the way that he should go. And this is one of those times, because it's not like our current culture, but this is a time you can put he/she because it's all inclusive. This is what inclusion looks like.
Yeah. Right.
He, she, you.
Right. We know what it meant.
They.
Context.
Right. Right. So I was supposed to read some of, I guess I read the whole thing. My shadow is purple.
Oh yeah, that's right.
All right. And this is in with our line of training versus grooming. I think today we're just gonna read 2 or 3 things and let you all discuss it. We're gonna back right out of it.
Mediate.
Yes. All right. This is my shadow is purple. It's by the same gentleman who wrote My Shadow is Pink.
Which Michael read last week, some excerpts from last week. So if you don't know, run it back.
My shadow is purple. My dad has a shadow. I'm going to start reading these a lot, do some read alouds on my YouTube.
Sure.
And discuss it.
Sure.
My shadow is purple. My dad has a shadow berry. And my mom's is as pink as a blossoming cherry. And you all just kind of tell me, when does it start to be training versus grooming? This is found in the all righty, I'll talk to you later. This is found in the early learning section of like Barnes and Nobles.
Uh-huh.
But this is also in elementary school libraries. I think that's important to note.
Right.
There's only those choices, a two or a one, but mine is quite different. It's both and it's none. If theirs are straight, then mine is a circle. For my shadow's different, my shadow is purple. My shadow loves playing with all sorts of toys, things left by girls and things left by boys. I dance with the pinks as they turn and I play sports with the blues as they lose and they win. Some of my friends think I'm simply confused, but the thing I love most is not having to choose. There's a scripture, a few of them that says choose, brother. What comes to mind when
Choose ye this day whom you will serve.
as for me and my house, but this is celebrating not having to choose. This one line right here.
I hate to keep shameless plugging Sunday, but we talked about it a little bit Sunday from the
Yes.
book of
You
Revelation.
can run that back on Facebook, actually.
You sure can. But I talked about how, we talk about faith without works is dead, but all works are not created equal. Jesus said it very specifically. I know your works. You're neither hot nor cold, and so you get spewed out. You got to make a choice. You got to be hot or cold. But that lukewarm is a level of works that is going to be judged.
There is more respect for being cold.
Yep. Than being lukewarm.
Because you have actually made a choice.
Exactly.
And committed to that.
Yep.
Man.
Straight from the mouth
You
of Jesus.
can, this is the beauty, because this person loves to not having to choose. But the true love and beauty of the situation is that if you've made the wrong choice, you can change your mind. Good God.
Come on back.
And be transformed by the renewing of it.
Exactly.
So make a different choice. Man, some tell me I'm blue. Only blue can be strong. But my mom's strong too. So I think they're wrong.
Okay.
Some tell me I'm pink because pink's the most caring. But dad's always crying and loving and sharing. Why can't I love sport and dancing and trains and ponies and glitter and engines and planes? Why must I choose and exclude all the rest? I love choosing both because both is the best. And now it's time for the greatest event. The school dance is here. The invite's been sent. Reminds me of the Muppet Babies.
Yeah.
The post that I made. I'm ready to rock and I'm feeling cute. My mom made my skirt and my dad made my suit. I bounced through the floor, through the door, and this is actually supposed to be my mom made my suit and my dad made my skirt.
Oh, okay. All right.
I bounced through the door and I gasped as I enter. The room split in two right down the center. Blue shadows go left and pink shadows go right. Once we're split up, we'll kick start this. Everyone laughs as they head to their rooms, and I'm left all alone. I look to the left where the shadows are. They over saying, "You are blue too." Then I look right as I struggle to think. They call me over. "Come on, you are pink." The teacher walks up looking rather amused. "I know you are different, but now you must choose." My heart just starts racing and tears fill my eyes. I know I must choose, but I don't understand why. The room has gone quiet and everyone's looking. My cheeks are red. They feel like they're cooking. If I can't be purple, then I cannot stay. I'll leave and go home, I quietly say. I slowly start walking. My legs are like jello. A voice breaks the silence. "My shadow is yellow." My eyes open wide, my shadow it gawks. A child walks to the middle, looks up and talks. There's more than two colors our shadows can be. I was too scared before, but blue is not me. I know from outside blue fits like a glove, but my shadow's yellow, which to me feels like love. They turn with a smile and take hold of my hand. "Who wants to join us? There's room here to stand." At first, no one moves. Then a hand in the air. My shadow's as brown as a big grizzly bear. My shadow is red. Mine's green. Mine's violet. Mine's orange. Mine's aquamarine. They all rush to join us, whatever their color, blue, pink, and purple, and shadows called other. I look at each shadow, no two are the same. On each happy face, there is no trace of shame. I think that's important.
Mhm.
Different and special and full unique. No colors stronger and no colors weak. Comes over as one as one. What colors are dancing? Have fun. What do you think, Reverend? You gonna buy that for I
No, and the
tried not
thing
to
is,
laugh.
no, you can laugh. It's because it's a good because just it's my first time hearing the book. There are so many elements about it that make perfect sense.
Right.
And
That's the subtlety of the. Oh man, that's the trick right
yeah,
there.
in terms of the idea that we're all not the same. Everybody is different.
Celebrating uniqueness.
Celebrating uniqueness.
Yes.
Everybody should be able to have, their own level of individualism.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to. I mean, even some of the stuff, even some of the quote unquote stereotypes about, the underlying quote unquote stereotypes about gender, uh, that uh, Blue has to be strong, but he's saying his mom is strong. Well, we were raised with some fact
Part.
going all the way back before we,
Man.
and that's so supposed to be celebrated, right? So strength can be, in my opinion, blue or pink in this particular context.
Life blue looks like black. A black woman.
All
All
right, bro. All
right now.
right,
The women that don't have no biological children still are parenting in the
exactly,
community of in our communities. So
yep,
yes, that looks like all them colors,
exactly.
brother.
And then, I mean, I don't know most dads that are crying all the time, but guys cry.
We do.
We cry at times.
We do.
It just is what it is.
It
Probably not
is.
all the time, but and the reason why I would say most men don't cry all the time is because when you see a man crying, it's probably something very significant, right? He's moved. You
That
know what I'm
part.
saying? I'm kind of a crybaby, even though my kids see me cry, which is cool with me, whatever. But it's certain things I get emotional, and I don't
Right.
like drip,
Right.
little misty, a little misty.
Yeah.
Especially when I am standing before Almighty God worship,
Man.
I will absolutely be a waterfall and be fine with that.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And so
Done.
I don't feel like that's pink.
Yeah.
It's me as blue.
Right.
And so it's a lot of good in it. But unfortunately, they're taking the diversity argument, I would say, and attributing it to sexuality.
That part, which is wrong.
And that's the part
That's wrong.
Yep.
That's not. Now, Pastor hasn't seen any of this. Nobody knows this. And I'm gonna see which one we're gonna pull out first. This one, because we talked about this.
Oh yeah, you got the full copies.
I went and bought it.
Yeah. S is for sachet.
K is for Kiki. N is for non-binary. The gender binary doesn't apply to who you are, how you feel, and how you identify. The Gay BCs by M.L. Webb. Now, normally we would say, go and get your copy if we're supporting something. All right, I'm going to read some of this one, though, Pastor, if it's all right with you.
Okay, brother. It's fine with me.
I think I'm going to get this one.
Binary. Is that a kid? A baby?
It is.
Oh, wow.
This was in the early learning. Now, this is where I want to make a connection. Training versus grooming. It was in the early learning section of Barnes and Noble. I think that's noteworthy. That's very important. I'm going to show them this. This book is called Bye Bye Binary. Ashley said the book is probably going to be a bestseller if it hasn't already, the ABCs. But let there be some Christian ABCs. There would be a problem. Baby girl, if you write it, I will read it. Somebody write it. It's really simple. Some Christian ABCs. Let's do it. Make a movement. So this says nobody puts a baby in pink or blue corner. All right. It's a baby. And I'm ready to smash gender norms. They're only social constructs anyway. And this is a whole baby right here, all right?
This is a kid's book?
This is a baby. Listen, in the early learning section. And so they have in the other one, the pre-section. It's a lot going on. We're just going to read a little bit. Time is going out. Boy or girl, the baby, look, arms folded. What's it to you? Because I'm still trying out new things to figure out who I am. In a stroller, figuring out who I am. It's Prince figuring out who he is. He's trying to figure out how to poop.
That's right.
And burp and cry.
Right.
Blue or pink? Why pick just one? I think I like lots of colors. They're painting the baby's nails, you know.
Because he can't paint them himself.
Because he can't do it himself. But I'm sure he articulated that he wanted all the colors and wanted them painted. The babies did that. Bow ties or bows? How about both? Look at this hair. They got heels on them with a tutu. That's a boo-boo. Let's look at this next one. Look at Pastor Face. He's never seen this. Dolls or dinos? Dolls and dinos. Now look at the baby. Look at this. They put the wig on them. Got the mermaid and the dino. That baby didn't get it, but look at all these babies. Look. Now I want you to keep in mind training versus grooming, because there's an overlapping section of this in reference to what Aunt Ruth was saying. So why old and not depart from it? I'm going to address that in a second. This blankie or this blankie, all of them, they're equally snuggly. They try to make it tender, like soft, colorful. I'm nobody's little princess or little heartbreaker. Got on a tutu and a cape. He or she. What's it to you? They don't need to be either. Besides, we're letting them see for themselves one day. I'm loved for being me. On the back of the book, it says, our little bundle of joy has arrived to dismantle gender norms. A board book about gender expression and being true to oneself. I didn't know that Prince could be true to himself. What himself is he at this point? Other than your son.
He's a 3-month-old boy.
Yeah, I know you couldn't really hide he put all the expressions just like me. I know it kind of took your breath a little bit, huh?
It does. And here's
Bye binary. That's that book right there. Go ahead, bro.
So somebody, I can't really take credit for this. I heard somebody saying this, that let's just say that we all agree to do away with the binary, right? Let's say we boom. Then doesn't that automatically defeat the concept that one can be homosexual or lesbian or gay? Because if there are no genders, then two males can't really be males. Therefore, they're not gay.
Everything you're saying, yeah, it's oxymoronic.
If there's no binary, then there's no such thing as homosexuality.
Don't put Prince in that mess. He definitely ain't in it. I promise you.
Nah, he ain't far away from it as humanly possible.
Let's read another. We got a couple of minutes.
Yeah, read on, brother. Read.
This is called. Wait, let me show you this. Let me show you all this first. So there is a. I took some pictures because I just bought a couple of books, but there I took some pictures of some other covers, and one is called "Dolls and Trucks Are for Everyone." All right. Again, this is in the early learning section. Then they have one called All Kinds of Families. I think I'm going to purchase this one. It's very interesting, subtle. Some people have just one mom. Some people have two dads. They put it like that.
Right.
So I'll include
Gotcha.
all kinds of families. Now, this one I found to be one of the most interesting. It's called This Little Rainbow. You see that?
Can I put it back up?
Oh, yeah. This Little Rainbow.
A love is love.
And that's the line right there, Reverend. Primer. A love is love primer. Go ahead and talk about what you think about that. When you are painting, you put primer on to condition the surface to put on the layer of paint so that it can stick and stay, so that the paint can do its job. You prep the area and put primer on it. You in fact groom it.
You get it ready. You get it ready.
On the title of the book, it says, This Little Rainbow, a love is love primer. Okay. I was going to buy that and say, that's a whole TNT by itself.
It just is.
There's another one, Born Ready, the true story of a boy named Penelope. She's a little girl who likes to do boy things, and so they're encouraging her to just be a boy. Was born a girl. This is the last one I think that I took. They, he, she, words for you and me. Look at this little part down here. A first book of pronouns. A first book of pronouns. And so then at the back of the book, I opened it. I read these books. Took the time. There's a mirror. What words feel best for you, to you? So you look at yourself and create, this. Then there's this at the end of the book as well. Let's read a little bit of that first, because, yeah. It says, your name is a word that is called a noun. You would find this interesting. Something that describes a person, place, or thing. A pronoun is a word that can be used instead of your name. And it's up to you which word fits best. For example, a girl might feel the pronouns she and her fit best. And a boy might prefer he and him, but not always. Sometimes a person doesn't feel like a boy or a girl and might choose other pronouns, such as they and them and sie and zer. Other times, a person may prefer only their name. When you meet a new friend, you can share the words that feel best to you. And on the back of the book, it says pronouns are words that may be used in place of your name. This is early learning section. What are the words that best match how you feel inside? So I was leaving. I said, well, let me look in the young readers section, which is they're considering from like 10, 11 up
Mm-hmm.
to like 17, young readers. They
Mm-hmm.
have graphic novels, they have fantasy books like Star Wars
Right.
and science fiction, things like that. But they have novels as well. And they had this book, Camp Quilt Bag, A Place to Be Yourself. Camp Quilt Bag. And I got to read that on the back. I'll let y'all kind of just run this back. You can pause that and read it yourself. Very interesting. But I just opened one page.
Mm-hmm.
The little girl is 12. She's at the camp and she's trying to run to the nurse's station to get some tampons for her friend,
Mm-hmm.
which is a real girl,
Right.
like born a girl,
Right. Yeah.
uterus.
Right.
And she's trying to get pads and tampons because she just came on her period.
Mm-hmm.
And then the boy just came on his period, or saying that a non girl and a girl, we try to get pads for both of them. This is in the book. The nurse at the camp is a lumberjack beard. They describe him as a big bearded guy, lumberjack guy. He's the nurse who has to hand out these
Right.
distribute these to this little girl. She's nervous from talking to him, but since it's she can talk about her body and stuff to this
Right.
man with a beard. That's the nurse for this camp of children. And she's getting tampons for a girl and a boy. And she's 12. And so they're exploring queerness and each other's bodies in this book too, because it talks about that. Okay, 12. I just want to say that. How old are your twins?
Yeah, that's how old they are. Just turned 12.
Hmm.
I'm trying to. There's a few things that's going through my brain, so y'all forget my
Speak
facial
on it,
expressions.
Doc.
I just don't get. I think that I would have a significant issue if there was a book for my daughters to read that was essentially a camp where they would go to explore heterosexuality.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a problem with that type of book being on the shelf because that's not what they're supposed to be reading right now. I don't think. Uh, if the camp was camp hetero, same book, and it's you come here, you know, like for the purpose of hooking up with
Yeah,
another a boy and a girl or whatever, and it's the same thing. I'm gonna have an issue with it because that doesn't seem to me
they're
like the
12,
type of
man.
reading that we're reading at this particular age. It doesn't seem right to me. That like it doesn't seem right. Like I don't know. I mean, you see, if you see two children having public displays of affection in a school, we're supposed to stop it.
Correct.
Doesn't matter if it's homosexual, heterosexual, whatever,
Matters not.
because it's inappropriate for school. There are certain things that kids are going to do, but the school is supposed to sanction them.
Mm. You getting into a thing now.
When you come to a school dance, the young ladies have to be dressed a certain way, or else they have to go home. And then even when they're dancing and exploring the idea of taking a date and whatever, there's just gonna be a line that gets drawn to where if it gets too suggestive sexually, the chaperones are going down and say, "Nah, we gotta calm that down a little bit."
Right.
So why would I be encouraging my children to read books that are going to have them exploring this idea? And then and then the other thing is, who came up with this concept that gender is a social construction?
Well, let me tell you. The next book I'm going to talk about is called Being you. First, you see that? First conversation about gender. This is also in the early learning section. It says children notice gender stereotypes as toddlers. Stereotypes. Children notice gender stereotypes as toddlers. It's never too early to begin the conversation. This book is a great place to start, Reverend. They're telling you right here. Let's see what it says, shall we?
Just curious.
Mm-hmm. There's only one you in the whole world. Isn't that amazing? You have a body. Everybody does. What do you love about your body? Different bodies have different parts. This is in the infant section, the toddler section, as a matter of fact. This book. Different bodies have different parts: elbow, nose, belly buttons. I remember having these conversations. I didn't need a book for it for my
Right.
children,
Right.
actually. Some bodies have a vagina. Now, as a toddler, I didn't have this conversation.
No.
Okay. I didn't. I know what Pastor does in his house. I know what y'all do. We didn't have this conversation. Some bodies have a penis. Every person's body parts look different. But there are some parts we all have. Okay. When a baby is born, grown-ups might say, it's a girl if their body has a vagina, or it's a boy if their body has a penis. Sometimes grown-ups aren't sure, but they choose the words girl or boy anyway. What did your grown-ups call you when you were born? That's all I'm gonna read for that.
But like it's interesting because they say stuff like toddlers observe gender stereotypes. Uh, we have a 3-month-old.
3 months.
He's 3 months.
That would be considered a toddler, yes?
I guess so. Infant.
Infant. All right.
He absolutely knows the difference between his mother and myself.
Correct.
And one of the ways that he knows is my wife was his primary source of food.
Wow.
She was breastfeeding him. And so when he would.
That's natural.
Right. This is a part of the female role and responsibility in the context of life. So
it's not a construct.
It's not a construct. This is not nobody's making. This is not social. This is what it is. So when he comes and he's laying on her chest, if he's hungry, he's going to try to find his source of food
and latch. Right.
Right. If he comes to me, he may try to do the same, but he's going to quickly realize this is not the same as that. There's a difference.
Wow.
Biologically, he can't explain it, but he knows that if he keeps bobbing that head up against me, nothing's going to happen. And then he's going to start to holler for her.
Correct.
Because he understands early that the Creator made her and me different. He's seen us both go to work. He's seen us both make them bottles. He's seen us both cook food. He's seen us both wash clothes. He's seen us both change his diaper. But he absolutely knows the difference between me and his mother. Wow. Right now. And it didn't take long. Probably took about 6-7 hours.
Right. Man. Bro, that's such a great point. Like, I need to get a soundbite of that.
Oh, man. I don't know.
What'd you say? So why old and not depart from it? If you train, like what we were talking about, the definitions, then the idea, the concept, if you will, is that it will be put in their mind, just like uh, Joe in his class teaches about math. And so there are, you do, of course, addition and then subtraction, matriculate up to multiplication and division. Learn that 5 times 2 is in elementary school, and you learn 5 times 2 is 10. When you get to have work and become older and get 2 5s in your hand, you immediately know that this is $10
Yep.
because you've learned that 5 times 2 is 10. 5 plus 5 is also 10. When you were young and you were trained in that, you were taught that. And when you got old, it didn't leave you. So you could do your 5 multiplication tables. If you get paid in fives, if you're a waiter or waitress, you can quickly say, instead of saying 5, 10, 15, 20, 20, you can do that if you like. Right. Or you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I got $25 bills, and know that you got $100 off the bat because you were taught early.
Yep. And I also
train them when they're young.
Yeah, I think that scripture also is speaking to us about the very important significance about choice. See, I think that a child or children, um, when you're being trained, you're kind of being trained to do what we ask you to do, what we expect you to do, so that when you have the opportunity to make choices, you're going to make choices based off of the training that you received.
The fundamental thing, the foundation is already set.
Right. So that when you get old and can make your own choices, you're not going to leave the training. You're going to kind of fall back on the stuff that you were trained in. Um, and I think that's the whole. I think that's part of it when he says in the way that he should, he or she should go.
Should.
Because if you do it right, then when they have the opportunity, they won't say, "No, I don't want that." They'll say, "This is the foundation."
And if they leave and go away and make a different choice, that will still be with them. And then, like I said earlier, you can change your mind and get back on track.
Yep.
Because it's in there.
Yep.
Fundamentally, it's a cornerstone element in your life, in your mind.
Yep.
So you don't leave it. But it starts when Prince is 3 months. They're already singing to him. I've seen it. They're already talking to him like a person. I do it. I did to mine. I don't think I ever did a baby thing. Micah's in here. I guess she can attest to it. But I never did that. We'll always talk. And so at 2, she was having conversations, grown up, like subjects and verbs agreement. And,
right.
she was
right
making sense.
Yeah. You want to, that's how, from what I understand, that's how we learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to present the finished product or some version of it, and then those brains will connect the dots to how to get there,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to talk goo goo gaga because that's not how we talk.
Hello. So one last thing, this is what we're talking about with your daughters. You were saying this is the why. This, I think, contributes to the why. This book is called Consent for Kids. Boundaries, respect, and being in charge of you. I'm the ruler of my own body, which is a great concept, actually, saying that you control you,
Mm-hmm.
nobody can touch you. It's the subtlety, though, how it's flipped. Because I've been saying this for years. You empower the children, and then you're in Walmart and they cussing you out.
Yep.
It's grown-ups that don't know how to wield the power they have.
Yep.
No, they have no self-control. Grown-ups. So you're gonna give the power to a child that's outside of their jurisdiction? I mean, it's above their pay grade. You shouldn't do that. I don't think. Just me. Is that an element of rebellion? When what part? I think that's you. It was a little late coming in. What part?
When children choose to go against their training, is that an element of rebellion? I'm guessing. I would say that's probably what it is, fundamentally. Um, and I think, but even I think that there's a rebellious almost process that you might test certain things. But I think that if you're trained properly, when it comes time for you to make those decisions, you're going to fall back on what it is that you're supposed to have in you. If you've been trained properly, and I mean, teenagers, young adults, have been through rebellious phases. I would say. I'm certain everybody's parent says, they was testing the waters a little bit, testing and trying to see what they can get away with and all that kind of stuff. I think that's part of it. You have to still be trained through all of that, I think, and then when it comes time for you to make choices, then you get the opportunity to decide where you're going to land, where you're going to sit.
So this is a good point. Darrell Reed said, I think that training and grooming are part 1 and 2 of the growth process. A coach can train athletes for a victory game, but they groom them for the next game.
Oh, I see that.
Good and great context.
Yep, I see that.
The only difference is, because I said earlier, it possibly be, because we're trying to discover this
Right.
collectively, is that it could be a vesica piscis, because there are some elements of grooming, like you just stated, that are necessary,
Right.
so that people don't implode or explode in the event of something that disappoints them,
Right.
that hurts
Right.
their feelings, that
Right.
they become deflated, but they don't jump off the second story.
Right.
So now apply that attempt to, Darrell Reed, to this template of this child right here. That's an infant toddler not playing a basketball game, not being coached, or they are being coached, groomed, programmed for a certain end result. You decide. Proverbs 22, that part.
Right.
Exactly. So, vesica piscis is 2 elements. One on one side, like we said, praise and worship. They live independent of each other, but they overlap in the middle, and there's a part where they cohabitate, and we generally live in that space, but we have the choice to be one or the other, and or do one or the other. But praise and worship are not one thing only. They live separately, like
Right. Yep.
So yes, that's just the same here. So I would say, like I said earlier, possibly training versus grooming are the same thing. However, it boils down to agenda and intent.
Yep.
That's all.
That part.
I see the pastor may have trained his beard for a certain look. Then if it's not to his liking, he shaves and grooms it.
Yeah, I see what you making some good
Which
points.
is a great point.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a great point.
Some good points.
But then apply that to children, to toddlers again.
Yep.
And still, what you're saying is definitely in line, because it's going to be his agenda. What is his end goal?
Right.
Why does he want his beard to be this long, or go this way, or be in a plait? Agenda, intention.
Yep.
What's the point?
You're gonna
I'm big on
groom it
that.
to your specifications, to what your outcome is.
Consent. Let me just read it back. But you may have rules. Your body belongs to you, and you get to set your own rules. But you may have different rules for different people. And some rules might change. Like when you high five your friends and kiss your kitten, but not the other way around. From setting boundaries to reflecting on your own behavior and learning how to be an awesome bystander, this book will have you feeling confident, respected, and 100% in charge of yourself and your body. Pastor, if one of your girls goes to the school nurse about something about their body, Do you think that you and your wife should be informed, and their mother, of course?
Yes, of course.
There are movements in different areas. California was one of the first where children will be able to not be empowered. They have their own consent to give their own consent
Mhm.
for different things. How do you feel about that?
Is completely I was going to say oxymoronic, but it's
Right.
completely moronic because we understand that children should not be trusted with certain things. This is why we don't let them buy guns,
drive cars.
drive cars, buy alcohol, smoke tobacco. This is why we don't let them vote. Um, this is why we don't let them run for public office.
Some grown up shouldn't. You gonna let
Exactly.
a child do
Even
it?
though we got some kids that are smarter than people in Congress right now,
Correct.
there is an understanding of boundary that this is not under the purview of what a kid is supposed to do. We don't let them run Fortune 500 companies unless they've invented them, right? There's a certain level of maturity that it takes. So why are we pushing the boundary back for similar things that make sense?
Minor attraction. That's what I think. Well, I don't know. What say you, Pastor?
Minor attraction sounds like an answer because what else could it be? I mean, unless you're going to say maybe the understanding that a child's mind is going to make incorrect decisions, and so then we can kind of infuse the chaos, uh, the confusion early, so that that's kind of what society is and becomes. But once
An
we start,
agenda
yeah,
again.
once we start depending on our children to make the decisions um, for very significant life events, then we've given up because that's not why God gave them parents.
As Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, though.
Right. And this is why I kind of always try to be uh, politically correct or incorrect because I don't even want to necessarily invoke the name God, but all of us recognize that something other than ourselves is the reason or is what produced us. Well, whatever that is for you, uh, you've decided that that entity doesn't make any sense. And your decision making doesn't make any sense. The entity gave you the responsibility of parenting, gave the child the responsibility of being reared by a parent. And I understand that we're trying to get rid of genders. So are we going to get rid of the parent-child relationship? Because if so, then let's not be surprised when we see children driving cars, handling fireworks, deciding that they're not going to go to school.
Who do drug addicted parents for training? I went to my dad, who was a addict, and this is just me. My dad was a functional addict. Oh, it was going to sleep, I guess. Okay. Yep, I can put it back up there. But he was very much present. He went to work every day. This is not a secret, but he had a $600 a day habit a day. Wow. So he had to get the money for that and pay the bills. Wow. Hold it down. Well, he always dropped gems, and he gave me a great template of a few things. One, don't be me. Don't try to be me in no regard. And in my child's mind, I just thought he was Jekyll and Hyde. I didn't know that he was on drugs. I just thought he's great today and he's whack this day. Becoming more whack on more days than he is great. And then when he got locked up, I'm like, I wish you go back to your other house because they stayed more time locked up. So I'm not talking about what I heard. I'm talking about me, right? And he was a great example because from those things, training came of what not to do. And then in those glimpses of light, things to do. One of which was to is there? Oh, okay, yeah. One of which was the gems that he dropped. As long as you work for somebody, you never have as much as them. Everybody who knows me know that that was permanent in the fabric of Michael Lamel.
Right.
You don't have to be the smartest person in the room, be the sharpest person in the room. Wow. It's a gym.
Yep.
You don't have to be this, don't be the smartest person in the room. So I went to my dad, and then I fabricated and formed my own gyms, I think from his deposits. He deposited, train up a child in the way that he should go. And so I remembered those things and recall those things. And I'm always getting accolades about being a great dad and a great what's the word, overseer of children. You know, that's kind of like pouring into young people and even adults. When I'm teaching, being a great teacher, it comes from those things. I had an example, and then I think wisdom enough, God showed me what to be and what not to be. So I sifted on the threshing floor like wheat and take out the good and the bad and separate the and use what's needed. That's just me.
Yeah, I think, and she kind of raised the point that I think that she wanted to kind of hone in on what are the children supposed to do if their parents are dysfunctional, and I think that that is it's a very real situation because there are certain levels of dysfunction that are much more severe than others.
Correct.
You got parents that are abusive. You got parents that are on substances. You have parents that just are not fit to be parents. And in some cases, if it's very, very bad, the state will step in. And, having some experience with this, they will try to find a suitable relative, uh, a suitable home, for where that child can be parenting, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that um, parenting is uh, has to be limited to biology, right? And this is where uh, are not careful, we will allow things to creep in from something good and make it something bad. For example, the old African Chinese proverb, I think it's an African proverb though, that it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well, there's this idea, particularly from the Black Lives Matter movement, that uh, heteronormative behavior is not the norm, and they ascribe to a more village raising mindset. Is not the same thing as it takes a village, right?
Right.
Where that child has to find, and hopefully, through the grace and the providence of God, there'll be a teacher, there'll be a cousin, there'll be an aunt, there'll be a pastor, there'll be a youth leader, there'll be a police officer, somebody in their lives that will be able to help train them. But one of the things that I'm learning is that children, while should not be left to raise themselves, children are very resilient and in many cases are smart enough to learn from our mistakes as parents, and will say, you know what, I'm never going to be that. If it wasn't for you doing all this foolishness, right? I'm reading some books and some stuff now where guys at 8, 9, 10 years old saw what their parents were doing and just decided, I'm never doing that, and live their lives, uh, you know, up and completely and totally. I'm never going to gamble. I saw what it did to my people. I'm never smoking a cigarette. I saw what it did. And some of these people are probably people who you'll probably be like, man, do it just by stereotype, but have very high morals of the training, even though it was by default, that they got from the people who were doing those things. And so it's a tough situation when you're dealing with dysfunction, but um, you can find function even out of it.
I think there's a measure, and this is not a popular opinion, but I think there's a measure of dysfunction just by being Black in America.
Absolutely.
Then there's a level of PTSD that we all have, and some more severe than others. That being said, that this idea of community that I'm always promoting um, can help curb and has helped curb a lot of things. If I had a bad at the house, I could go down the street to Miss Bell's house and goodie bag. She would have it was a place I could sit and talk, be or Miss Lucille and Mr. Willie. They would make me a sandwich and we could sit and talk, or they could reprimand me, good God Almighty. And then when I get home, I get it again. If that was the thing.
It was necessary.
I happen to be the child that was I didn't get in trouble a lot, except with my dad. And I think that was mostly because even in that sickness, he looked at me and saw himself. And so I got a lot of that, right?
Mhm.
And I don't hold that to him. I do have to follow it up with this. We are pretty much inseparable now, like in our lives. We talk every day, called, he's we working together. I'm helping him on something every single day of it.
Yeah.
That God changes things and he transforms hearts and minds. I'm not going to be emotional, but it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And so, yes, the dysfunction, I think, is kind of a given. And if we start with that understanding, um, then we don't start in a place of pity or like, oh well, mine or the thing, mine is more than yours. Or
Right.
everybody has that,
Right.
particularly in our Black community.
Right.
All PTSD, all got to tell our sons and daughters the same thing when they go out about cops. All got to do. So if we start there, then I think and have that understanding in this particular conversation, especially, then we can be already 2 steps down the road.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's necessary.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it's the idea, all of us have sinned. So we're all dealing with something, right? So that idea, even from just a spiritual standpoint, we all have things that aren't perfect, right? So we're going to our proclivities, our dysfunction into
Mhm.
all of our relationships. So um, it is absolutely a function of just being a human, and then add to that being a Black American. Good God, it just
That's
boom.
the point, man.
But provocative question from Aunt Ruth: do you think non-biological can love and care for children that are not their own?
He
And it's
does every day. That's what I think. Yeah.
my she could probably tell you better than me. My granddaddy had 14 kids when his wife died, having more kids, and they were primarily raised with a stepmom. And if you listen to my dad, and I love hearing my uncle who's now deceased talk about uh, just how she loved and cared for them. And I mean, I saw it firsthand when she, was around as my grandmother. I didn't even know until I got much older that she wasn't my biological grandma.
Right.
I had no idea.
That part.
It wasn't talked about. It's like, oh, we're going to grandma's house, right?
Period.
And
That's
then
it.
like you get older and it's like, oh no, this is kind of how the family tree goes. But it was nothing. And as a step parent, so to speak, I don't even claim that title, but I am a step
Right.
parent.
Right. He's a parent.
Yeah. I have a stepson who he might not want me to share, but sometimes he struggles with the fact that his father was killed when he was very, very young, and sometimes he struggles with that absence of the biological connection that he just wasn't able to have. And I've done the best that I can to try to make sure that I'm in his life, nurturing and loving him. But I absolutely love him. 1,000% care. There's nothing that I wouldn't do for him.
Correct.
Like any of the biologicals, there isn't any difference in my mind at all.
Correct. I've seen it. He's not lying. It's true.
Yeah, and then I guess as a teacher, you know, some students you're just drawn to. But kids ask me every year, Mr. Williams, who is your favorite? And I say all of y'all. I say it all the time.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
sometimes I
used
mean
to
it,
get
sometimes
that.
I don't.
Right.
But most of the time it's like this class that we're in from September to June is not going to be the same if one of you are missing. It takes it all for this to be that, and it's kind of hard to articulate But you need all of it. You need all of, there's love. There's enough love to go around. There's enough hugs to go around, uh, uh, for all the kids, for all the babies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dal Reed says, and all will say, quote.
1,000%.
I think different uh usually we resolve to traumas in that regard, but different traumas, different dysfunctions, different PTSD scenarios manifest in different ways.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, definitely have people who have chosen that lifestyle in my family.
Me too.
Period.
Hmm.
Love them the same.
Yep. Life of the party in some cases.
That part. Yep. Super talented. Yeah. And they make no qualms about it. No shame.
Yep. Oftentimes in moments such as these, comically, but somewhat tragically, I guess, recall one of my cousins. I'm not really going to go into detail, but I remember being maybe 7 or 8 years old. So this is 80s. And my cousin coming to the door, who's a male. He was born in man, a big man too, not a little guy like me, but a
Burly.
big guy, coming to the door and fully dressed as a woman. And I would never forget it. This is way before any of like
Yeah, it
all of
wasn't
this.
popular, like
This
a
is
trendy.
way before. And he intentionally came with the dress on, wanted us to see it. And I remember hollering upstairs to my dad, "Dad, so and so is at the door." And my parents came down. My mom grabbed me by my eyes. She grabbed me by my face like and sent me upstairs, would let me come down. But I already seen it. It was so funny. I'll
Right.
never forget it. Um, and unfortunately, um, he ended up contracting HIV and passed away, much too soon. And one of the things that I was talking about Sunday was that when we talk about some of this stuff, God uh, is always trying to preserve and create life. So when He says don't do a certain thing, He's smart enough to know that there's a disease that's going to come that is going to be directly related to a certain type of sexual activity that's going to start ravaging communities. And what we did was instead of uh, letting the disease have the stigma that it carried, instead of allowing it to be a warning, we disease didn't change, and people that behavior were dying. You can change the letters all you want to. If you're going to do the things that create the disease,
Man.
it doesn't matter. And God was saying, don't do it to start with because it's going to end up saving your life. There's something coming. And what we decided was, we don't care what God says. Let's change the letters around to make these people feel more comfortable about this thing that's happening.
We back to feelings.
And God wasn't trying to be harsh. He was trying to save your life. And that's kind of how it is always is. It's not, it's training. It is. It's
You see
training.
it? I wish it was back a bit, but training and grooming.
Yes,
it's
I'm not
training.
trying to when I'm telling my kids, don't do this, don't do that. No, you're thinking about it wrong. Your approach is wrong.
And you mad. They
Right.
gonna be mad.
Yes, I'm man enough to take it. I'll take you
Be mad.
because these lessons are going to help save your life.
Man.
They're going to help you make the right choice down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm guilty of being a peacemaker all the time, trying to just keep the peace, right? But what is the thing? So what? How you feel? So when I was in class, different classes I would teach, um, I would be that very firm, and then building the relationships, and you curb that a little bit. I'm just talking about me.
Nah, you're right.
You curb that and be like, you add, and you call it, okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of grace over here to that person, or a little bit of compassion over here, because I know some of their backstory or whatever. The rule is the rule.
Boom. Got to be that.
Period. It doesn't care how you feel. And I'm guilty of implementing how I feel, good God Almighty, to make it I can feel better. But so what?
Yep.
Matters not.
Matters not. I think of it like being a teacher. I cannot tell you how many times I had students say, "Man, you mean, Mr. Williams? So what? This is how you have to do this
Oh
because I'm trying to
my
prepare you for
God.
next, and you don't want to do it this way. So what? I'm gonna tell my mama, please do. Here's the
Please.
phone because this is how it's gonna be." And then they love you.
Yeah, and
20
they do
minutes
love you.
later.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
parents, when you get that call from a good teacher, I need you to, I don't care what your child says. Get in line with what's the right thing.
Right. We're getting them ready for whatever's next.
All right. Let's get out of here, man.
Yeah, man. We
Consent. Consent for kids. We got Hey Pretty Princess books on TNT
All
sections
right.
on there.
Some good books.
I need you to get on the YouTube and run it back and look at these things. It would be very interesting. Hey Pretty Princess books. Make sure you go on Pretty Princess books. Books for young black. Cover art is a little girl with big ponytails, big pretty eyes, and it's good for young black girls, empowering to be comfortable in their skin and beautiful and black and beautiful.
Yep.
I love it.
I love it. We always shout out the businesses that support us.
Yes. Hey Pretty Princess books.
We ain't charging you nothing at this point.
Right. But
But
get ready, get ready, get
yeah, but
ready.
still, you still send us that information because we're gonna love to shout you out.
Right. Consent, man. One page, Pastor.
Yeah,
One. Let's see.
because we got a hot question on the floor.
What is it? Let's do that. Let's do the question. Do you think these people will share heaven with us? Man, go ahead, Pastor.
So I am very comfortable with this answer. I always tell people that heaven or hell is way above my pay grade.
Yeah.
I allow God to do that, but I think that the scriptures are clear to us that after we pass, then we don't really go straight to heaven or hell. We go into judgment, and then I think that the judgment period is what's going to determine whether or not somebody goes up or goes down, so to speak. I believe that if in one's life that they repent from, um, that would make you a candidate for heaven. I believe that if there's sin in your life that you are unrepentant from, then that will probably make you a candidate for hell. And I think that the unfortunate reality is that there's going to be some people that are going to be so arrogant that when they face off with God Almighty, they're not going to care. That's what I think. But so I don't know. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm very comfortable saying I don't know. I try not to put people in heaven or no, right? But I try not to put people in hell. I think that's really a God thing.
I like that answer. My answer is one that I'm very confident and comfortable with. It's not my concern. It's not my business. And
My pay grade.
yeah, which is the same thing, just different wording. Because minding my business and me is a full-time job. Full-time. And I've said this before, judgment is an individual process. Ashley and Joe are married. We resolve to this scripture that two become one and one flesh. All well and good. Joe will be judged separate from his wife. Good God Almighty. And Ashley separate from you.
Facts.
So they have some business together, but judgment, what you. And so I don't know. I know what the book says about instruction. Like I said, giving the instruction and then unwavering. This is what it says, period. So if you measure it by that template, you can really resolve the answer to the question very, very quickly and simply.
Yep.
These are the rules. Are you playing by them or are you outside of them? Coloring inside the lines or out. You color outside the lines, right.
Deal with the consequences.
You may be different. You may have different boundaries for different people. And look, there's a hug chart right there. Usually, yes. Rex the dog, mom, dad, grandma. No. Barking dogs, I think. What does it say? Random dogs, neighbors, and parents, friends. All right. Those are on the no people because there are different boundaries for different people. This is what I found interesting. It's okay. You can come in now, right? And times when boundaries, what, Reverend?
Change.
There are lots of ways to be social. Hugging, high-fiving, what, nodding, no touching, please, waving. I only hug snookums, kitty snuggling. Okay, all right, that's good. Okay, but then you can change. That's what the subtle. I'm trying to get to a point. He says, what boundary should I have? It's up to you. He says, oh, nice. Bodily autonomy. I like it, but can I pronounce it? Bodily autonomy means having a choice about what you do with your body. So when Aunt Gladys says, come on over here, I want to pinch and kiss those cheeks, guess what? You still decide. Let's high five. So cool. Okay. Okay, sure. There are times we do stuff to keep ourselves or others safe and we don't get to decide, like holding hands in a busy parking lot or taking medicine so we can get well. You don't have a choice in that, or waiting for the light so we can cross the street. But you still get to have a say. That's too tight, it hurts. Holding hands, right? Medicine, crossing the street. And chapter 2 says, trust your gut. And then it goes on and keeps on going, trying to get all the way around. If your gut decides that someone's intention gives you a slightly icky feeling or a very icky feeling, it's okay to say no to their intention. Person doesn't respect your boundary or pressure you to change your mind. It's important to tell a friend, right? But now you can give consent. So I just think this book is we might read this. It's a very consent, empowering the children so that we have minor attraction. That's the take that I make of it.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
It's rough in these streets, Doc.
Yeah, man.
We all God's children.
Yes, we are.
Yep. And some children not welcome home. They made their own choice. Man, that's a rough job. There are gays who love God. If you love me, keep my commandments. I believe they probably have love for him. Yeah, absolutely. They're torn.
Yeah, see, you're starting another conversation, but I was having a good conversation with a good, strong brother, and he was talking to me about how, as Christians, and keeping it with the context, our job is to love everybody, and I could not agree more. Um, and I think that love, if it's real, at times will require uncomfortable conversations. Sometimes love requires me to tell you that you're doing the wrong thing. Sometimes love requires me to give you my opinion. Love doesn't just blanketly say, I go along with everything that you want to do. And this is not just only about sexuality, it's about everything. If I'm doing something crazy or consistently doing something crazy or about to do something crazy, I know that he loves me. He might say, nah, man, you might want to rethink. And so
Or if I am, he has happened.
Right. The word love, uh, love is an interesting word, particularly in this context, because if you love God, the Almighty, then there has to be a level of receptivity to Him being the authority. So, can you be same gender loving and love God? Can you be an abuser and love God? Can you be a sinner and love God? I think that those things are challenging questions because you don't have to be perfect, right? But there is this idea that love will surrender to the will of God.
Some are welcome. And I think it's situational. Be transformed by what?
The renewing of your minds. Jesus called a bunch of people that he told them that their daddy was Satan.
Right to their face.
Just like, you don't understand me because your father is the devil. So I don't know.
Man, that's good though. All right, we're gonna wrap this up.
Exactly. We love y'all to life, of course.
Thank y'all for being here.
Exactly.
What do you think about those books?
Those books? My God.
Training versus grooming.
Training versus grooming.
Proverbs 22:6 was a text. You can run it back. I encourage you all. Have some conversations. Bring those conversations to TNT. Let us know what you're thinking, how you're positioning yourself. Next month is coming very quickly, and the rollout for Fed Now for the public. They've been incrementally rolling it out. Talked to some people today who saying they've been getting mail for suggesting to get onto Fed Now. And we were talking about that. So talked to some people that had mysteriously lost some money in Cash App. And were asking my opinion. And so I was saying that that will be happening kind of randomly, so-called randomly. But then the next measure will be for everyone to voluntarily seek more security in digital finances. And so therefore, who better to secure your finances than the people who give it, distribute it? Yeah. Now, so in September will be another wave of it, but in Europe, they will have their digital IDs, right? And so I don't know what time frame all of it will be happening, but the first measure is people will willfully jump on this bandwagon. It'll be the new thing. It'll be exciting. It'll be fast. Everything else will start to dismantle and not work properly. So just be aware of that. Fed Now.
You already heard it here. It's the second time.
Yes. Commercial businesses started, it was made available to them in January. And so, yeah. In Arizona and in Phoenix and in San Francisco, there are automated taxis, cars services already.
Oh, yeah.
With no drivers.
No driver, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the name of it. Look that up. Yep. WAYMO. Waymo. That's the company.
Yep.
Waymo. All right. That's all. Just trying to gap y'all some little tidbits. We out of here.
Love y'all.
Love y'all. To life. All right.
Gotta boom it out.
Yes. Let's boom.
All right.
See y'all next week.
Boom.